I don't know, get some better luck, try to break the curse. It's really a rabbit's foot in the locker room. They can't seem to get it going. No, but seriously, for me, Dallas again, this is my opinion. I think Dallas needs to get some quarterback depth. For whatever reason, Dak Prescott can't stay healthy since he signed that big deal. It showed Cooper Rush helped lead them to a 4-1 record, 3-2 record, whatever it was when Dak was out, when everybody saw that the season was over. I know that a lot of people think that he was carried by the defense, and to an extent he was, but again, he didn't make any mistakes to lose them games, and he was able to move the ball down the field effectively when it needed to be. So I think some depth behind Dak is going to be critical because Cooper Rush is a free agent at the end of this season, or should I say, at the end of the NFL fiscal year, which is going to be when free agency opens at some point in March. I would have to say second would be the wide receiver core outside of CeeDee Lamb. I mean, Noah Brown is there, but he's a free agent. You have Michael Gallup. He's been hurt. He's inconsistent as well. So that's another name that's like up and down. They signed T.Y. Hilton for the remainder of the year that had flashes, but there is nobody definitive outside of CeeDee Lamb that you can really rely on, who he emerged, of course, as a number one wide receiver when doubted. So when he starts to demand a double team, when he's getting it going, you're going to need to rely on somebody else. And I think that that is pivotal for Dak Prescott's success because you can't force feed one person. Dak led the league in interceptions this year, and that showed in some instances trying to put the ball in CeeDee's hands when it didn't need to be. You need some more options, some more weapons on the outside. And then third, I'm going to stay on the offensive side because I believe Dallas's defense does need some tweaking. But again, in terms of offensively, they had a lot of lulls, and Tony Pollard's a free agent. Tony Pollard is the reason why the Dallas Cowboys had an effective run game throughout the season, as Ezekiel Elliott's role has diminished. Although he received more touches than Tony Pollard, I believe that what Tony was able to do with the dynamic, being a better pass catcher out of the backfield, being somebody that can make people miss, being somebody that can get to the edge quicker. He's younger. If Dallas has enough cap, I think they need to pay attention to re-signing him because he is pivotal to the success of the Cowboys moving forward. Zeke is going to be owed anywhere from $15 to $16 million this season coming up. He's not what he once was when he signed that extension. He's just somebody that is going to get you, I guess, third and short, maybe even goal line touches at this point in his career. He's gotten worse statistically every single season, so I'm not going to sit here and defend him at all. He's just not what he once was. And Tony Pollard is a big reason why Dallas was so successful in the run game. So for me, again, quarterback depth, I got to get a wide receiver 2 and 3, if not just a wide receiver 2 that's consistent behind Gallup and CeeDee. And then, of course, you're going to need some running back depth because outside of Ezekiel Elliott, they have next to nobody if Tony Pollard leaves.
Yeah, those are good points, and I agree with all of them. I'm going to add just a couple more points. I'm actually going to start with Dak at first. I know Dak is obviously the franchise quarterback, and he's largely been successful in his tenure with the Cowboys, but Kev, those turnovers are an issue. And they really kind of showed this year with the amount of turnovers that he had in the limited amount of time that he played this year compared to the rest of the quarterback field as far as I see it. You know, Dak Prescott is somebody that is a relatively good quarterback. And the fact that he's able to extend plays with his feet, I think it really shows his versatility. But the problem is that he's just too frequent in turning the ball over. And with the amount of games that he missed this year, and that still being a major issue on the offensive side of the ball, there's definitely going to have to be an adjustment this offseason from just his overall decision making. And look, there may just be a point in time where Kev said it. If he doesn't have anybody to throw to outside of CeeDee Lamb and he has to put up some 50-50 balls, and you're throwing to guys like Noah Brown and Michael Gallup, are those the targets that you can rely on to make those 50-50 balls? I don't think that's going to be the case. So maybe this is a situation where maybe he has to take a step back and be a little bit more conservative in just not throwing errant passes. And as far as I see it, Dak has the potential to be a really good quarterback in the NFL. It just, those turnover issues were so prevalent this year. It was kind of unexpected. And you compare that to what Cooper Rush did in the limited time that he was a starter. Cooper Rush was very successful in not turning the ball over. And by and large, I think that was a major contributor in why Dallas offensively was successful. Granted, the defense did a lot of help in keeping the games close when Cooper was starting, but Cooper didn't make it worse by not turning the ball over, or excuse me, by turning the ball over. So it seems as if the Cowboys have like two different gears. When they know that Cooper's playing, the team defensively steps up. But when Dak is in, they kind of take a step back. And honestly, they probably shouldn't with the amount of turnovers that Dak commits on a yearly basis. So my first point would definitely be that Dak has to improve his overall decision making going into next year and just overall limiting his turnovers. My second point is Dallas needs to improve their rush defense. When you look statistically at the NFL, they were in the bottom third with the amount of rushing yards in the NFL. So they gave up almost about 130 yards on the ground per game. And that's despite the fact that they have some really good defensive linemen to work with. Obviously, there's a lot of attention paid to guys like Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. But still, it seemed to me that just whenever they would go up against a pretty good run game, they would struggle. And the stats indicate that. So, maybe this is a situation that they look to the draft and maybe try to bolster up some interior defensive line, maybe look to free agency as well to try to improve that part of the defense. Because I will say, when it comes to their overall pass rush, I can't complain about that. They finished top 5 in the NFL. Hell, I think it might have even been top 2 or top 3 in the NFL, especially with Micah Parsons just being an absolute beast in that department. But nonetheless, pass rush is only one component of the defensive line. You still have to be able to defend against an opposing offense's run game. And to be quite honest with you, I thought they failed in that regard. So, that is another area of concern that I think they're going to have to focus on this offseason outside of Dak Prescott trying to improve his overall turnover issues. But in my eyes, Dallas is still a good team. They have some free agents issues that they have to attend to this offseason. Obviously, Kev mentioned the Tony Pollard situation. That's going to be a big one. I think more than likely he's probably going to leave Dallas just because I think there's going to be some teams that are really commit to him and giving him a big contract. So, there's going to be some changes with this Cowboys team compared to this past year. I still think that they'll be a competitive team, but if they're not able to fix these issues like Kev and I have outlined, they'll be okay. But I think that they're going to be in that same position where we've always had them the last couple of years. They may win a playoff game here and there, but to a point where they're going to advance to an NFC Championship game, I don't see that happening. They really have to take some progressive steps forward for me to get to that point, and they have to play like it. And they haven't been able to do that consistently since Dak's been the starting quarterback and Mike McCarthy's been the head coach. So overall, just to kind of round this out, I think if they try to improve their defensive line, especially their interior, to improve their rush defense, and if Dak just takes a little bit more time to be a little bit more conservative in his decision-making to limit his turnovers, maybe there are some steps forward for Dallas to improve upon going into next season. But I'll just leave it at that.